Welcome to the Advanced Billing and Payments class in QQ Catalyst. The Billing and Payments feature in QQ Catalyst is integrated into your workflow to take payments, create bills, print invoices, as well as receipts. Today we're going to focus our attention on user permissions, how and where to set that information up. We're also going to look at premium finance options and how to choose and edit that information on the policy level, as well as reconciling your premiums due to carriers or MGAs. And lastly, we will look at a few reports in the standard report section that will help you keep track of this information. The Super Administrator in QQ Catalyst has automatic access to post-payment, create bills, and reconcile premiums. Users that are set up in QQ Catalyst do not have automatic permissions to do the same. So the administrator, when setting up the employee account as a user within QQ Catalyst, they will need to give that particular user specific permissions. So accessing an employee's account, we're going to select employees as our contact type and choose an employee. We're going to click on permissions, and depending on their permission level that you assign to them, users, you're going to basically go through all the setup in granting permissions that this user can and cannot do within QQ Catalyst. We do have a specific section for payments, which is the finance section. So using the navigation panel on the right, I'm just going to select finance. And so this tells me exactly what permission level this user has when it comes to posting payments or creating bills. If I need to edit this information, I am going to click on the edit option on the lower right hand side, and then either remove any permission levels, or I can grant them by simply checking the box. So now this user has the ability to take payments, change payment dates, void payments, and also creating bills, which allows you also to print invoices and create invoices. Now, if the user needs to also have the permission level to reconcile premiums due to carriers or to like an MGA or broker, they will need to have access to view and edit agency commissions as well. If they do not have that permission level, they cannot reconcile premiums. That reconciliation area is tied in with the commission information, so if they do not have access to edit or view that information in your database, they cannot have access to reconcile premiums. Click on Save to save your choices or your selections. The next area that we're going to look into is the premium finance setup. When setting up a premium finance company, you want to make sure that you set up the payment options available using that finance company. So going into your finance company once we access this information, you'll notice that we have a specific area for payments and billing options using this particular finance company. So we're going to select on the navigation panel on the right, payment information. The payment information section is where you're going to select specific defaults that are applicable to this particular finance company, whether it's a remit by, which means when I click on edit, I can enter the number of days that this particular finance company requires payment to be sent to them. Also, I can enter a specific down payment amount or percentage that they require when using this particular premium finance company. Now, all the defaults that you select here can also be edited on a policy level. So if your minimum down payment changes depending on policy type or line of business, then you can also edit that down payment amount when you're issuing the policy. At the very bottom, we have a premium finance options. We have several that are available. We have direct bill options and agency bill options. This is where you're going to select how the payments are processed using this particular premium finance company. This also can be edited on a policy level. The next area we're going to look at is reconciling premiums that are due either to an insurance carrier or to an MGA. Reconciling premiums can be done in one of two areas. You can do that directly on the policy level, or you can do it within the carrier's account or the MGA's account. So looking at an insurance policy within QQ Catalyst, we can see through the billing tab, looking at or selecting our carrier premium section. If there are any premiums due on this account, you'll be able to see them within this section. The system will automatically default the view option to the last 30 days. If you need to review this information prior, or any information that's listed in this section prior to the 30 days, maybe go back to the last 90 days, you'll need to select that option so it pulls up any existing billing information from the past 90 days. Now, in order to reconcile on a policy level, what you're going to do is simply click on the blue highlighted option here on the upper right hand side. This is a hyperlink that will take you directly to the reconciliation section for this particular carrier. So in this case, I can see under Travelers Grouped Carrier that there's a total premium due of $87.25 for this account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that option, and it's going to bring me to the page within that carrier's account where I can reconcile all the premiums that I am paying to this particular carrier. So in this case, I was on James Glass account, so I'm going to select that option. I can click on the box on the left hand side, and the Paid Now column will pre-fill with the amount that is due to this carrier. Now, if I need to override this with a different amount, maybe I'm only paying a portion of that, what the system does is, notice on the right it will tell you what the balance amount is left after this payment has been applied. So even though I'm reconciling $4,000, I still have a balance due to this carrier of $47.25. Now, if I'm done reconciling, I can go ahead and move on to the next workflow tab, which is the payment details. Otherwise, I can select other accounts that I am reconciling. I can do this one at a time, or if I click on this very top left hand box here, I can reconcile every account that's in this section at one time. So at the very bottom on the right, you'll see the number of payments that are being reconciled, what the total amount due to the carrier is, but also what the amount being paid currently is as well. If this is incorrect, we can go ahead and deselect whatever accounts are not being paid, and then move on to the Payment Details tab. So this is where we're going to select how we're making this payment. So if this carrier has gone in and just swept this amount out of our accounts, we can go ahead and leave that at EFT. If we're sending the carrier a check, we can go ahead and change that payment method. And if you notice here on the left hand side, we can also enter a check number. So if I want to enter my agency check number that I issued to this carrier, I can go ahead and do that. At the very bottom on the left hand side, you can see that we have a total policy premium that is being paid, and then in the middle we have this non-policy premium. This is where you can enter any amount, any additional amounts that are being paid to this carrier that are not connected at all with any of the premiums that you've selected. So if you have additional amounts that you're paying to the carrier, let's say separate, like a service fee or something like that, you can add that in that section. Or if you're applying a credit that to this particular account that is owed to your agency, you can do that as well. So in the credit example, you can just enter it as a negative amount, then enter the credit dollar amount. Once you do that, on the far right, you'll notice that it does subtract that information from the policy premium that is being paid, the total policy premium. And so that shows that even though the policy premium is reconciling is $78.86, after we apply our credit, it's going to be $73.86 that we're actually paying to this carrier. Once we've made that selection, we're going to click on Finish so that it processes this information and updates it and reconciles all those accounts that we've selected. At the very end of this process, you'll also be able to view and print out a reconciliation report that kind of documents what you've just entered and reconciled. So at the very top, you can see we have the check payment method, which is a check, the check number, and the total amount paid. So the total premium, policy premium was $78.86, but then we applied a credit, which then totaled to be $73.86, and then the accounts are itemized below that we reconciled. If you choose not to print this out and you click on the X, it basically saves a copy in the carrier's account. But also, if you come here to carrier premium and we look at that reconciliation that was done, we can see that we have a reconciliation report that we can print out. So that's the exact same one that we just viewed. The other way to reconcile is basically within the carrier's account or even the MGA's account. So if we go to this section here and we go into, let's say, this MGA, All Risk Insurance, we're going to access their account within QQ Catalyst. We are going to look at the very top toolbar, on the dark shaded toolbar, there's a reconciliation option. We're going to go ahead and click on that option, and then we're going to change our selection from reconciling agency commissions to reconciling premiums that are due to this MGA. So I'm going to click on Next on the lower right, and my next step is to view all the outstanding premiums that are due to this particular MGA or broker. So in this case, I'm just going to follow the same steps I just did with the carrier reconciliation. I am going to click on that box on the left. I'm going to click on Next. And this time I'm going to choose my method, which is, we'll leave it at check. We'll enter our check number, and we're going to go ahead and click on Finish. So that's another way that your reconciliation can be done. Again, once this process is complete, it does update the client's billing tab within that policy with the reconciliation information that we just created. The report is the same. It gets saved both in the MGA account and also in the policy. The last area that we're going to review today is the reports section. We have several reports within QQ Catalyst that will help you keep track of the information that you're creating on the billing side. The first report that we're going to look at is in the standard library. It's the daily closeout report. So what that report helps you do is basically see all the payments that have been posted during a specific period of time within your agency. So you can select the date range that you would like to see on the report and then click on Run. Now, because this is a standard report, you cannot edit any of the fields that are within this report. You can save this information to your computer, or you can also export this report to an Excel spreadsheet. But as you can see, we can see all the payments that have been posted during a specific period of time with the customer's name, payment dates, detailed type of payment, detailed description, and the payment amount. So this is really helpful to keep track of how much money or what type of money is being collected within your agency. Another report that we can look at in the standard library are the carrier payable MGA payable and finance company payable. What these reports allow you to do is basically pull a report of all outstanding payments due or outstanding premiums due to your carriers, due to your MGAs or brokers, or even due to your finance company. So if you wanted to keep track of that information, you can pull this report for a quick reference. This report does not go into detail as far as the name of the customer and the premium amount that is due, the individual premium amount that's due. Is just going to give you a total amount that's due for each carrier. The same thing would stand for the MGA payable report. We can look at that. You can click on Run, and that basically gives you the same information. It's going to give you a report on the total amount due broken down by each MGA. Some other reports that will help you keep track of any premiums due to the due from your customers to your agency is Customer Balance. Now we have two different ones with Customer Balance. So we have Customer Balance and Customer Balance with Detail. So the first one will break down this report and show you by CSR and by agent if there are any payments due. Now these selections are optional. That means if you don't necessarily want to choose have a report just on one specific agent, you can just remove that option and run it to show all premiums or outstanding premiums due from your customers for all the producers or agents in your agency. So this is the information that appears on the report. It's broken down by your office location, of course, by the customer's phone number, email address, the agent on the policy, as well as the CSR and the outstanding balance. The other report that we are looking at is going to be the Customer Balance Detail report. This report also will show the same information, so it's basically the same. You have the option to pull it by a specific CSR or agent, or no one in particular. Once you run this report, you will be able to see not only outstanding premiums that are due from your customers, but also if there are any outstanding agency fees that are due from your customers as well. That will be included in this report. Now, as I mentioned before, with our reports, whether they're custom or standard, you can export this information to an Excel spreadsheet. When you click on Run from the main page, you're going to be brought to this details tab or information section or pop-up window. If you change the option on the upper left-hand side from pulling in a PDF format to a spreadsheet, this information will pull directly in an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. And that basically concludes our advanced training in the billing and payment section of QQ Catalyst.